We are live with Lunch Break Live. We are here with Island Girl Mermaid Bianca. What are you making today?
Hi everyone. Today I am making mermaid crab cakes. They're 100% vegan, mermaid friendly, ocean friendly, everything, but they still have the amazing taste without eating, of course, crabs because crabs are our friends and mermaids' best friends especially.
Yes, awesome. Okay, well, let's start cooking. Get right to it, and then we'll hear all about you and why we call you the Island Girl Mermaid.
So first, the thing that we're going to do is we're going to saute some onions. I use red onions, especially because the flavor and then also because the color. We're going to saute about a half of a red onion, and I'm going to chop it up here first. So it's going to be about a half of a red onion. It comes out to like a quarter of a cup of onions. So we're going to saute this here with some garlic. I have about 4 cloves of garlic here. I already took the shell off of everything here. So with the onions here, my mom gave me this awesome like vegetable chopper, so it makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to use this here to just chop this onion.
Hey, can you show us that cool gadget? What is that? Let's bring it up close. That's awesome.
It's called the Euro. There it goes. It's just fast. It's just an easy way to chop vegetables because I'm on the go, so I don't have that much time to do. You know, the faster the better for me, basically.
I know, because you got to get back to swimming in the water and advocating for the sea life. Those of you that are just joining us, this is Island Girl Mermaid Bianca, and she's all over the seas, bringing about awareness. And she comes up on the docks and encourages people to watch Seaspiracy. She advocates for all animals in the water and on the land, the sea, the oceans, the air, all of them. And we're so excited to have her here today. Welcome to Lunch Break Live, everybody. We're getting in the mood with some mermaid crab cakes. Those of you that are just joining us, wait to see what are in these. And we have Bianca is chopping up right now as we speak.
Yes, chopping up the onions is always the first step. And when I do heat them in the pot, I do add a little bit of oil just because today for the crab cakes, we're going to be frying them in oil. But if you are trying to do like limited oil or oil free, you can always saute onions and garlic with a dash of water, some vegetable broth, because it helps limit the oil. And then if you want, you can always bake the crab cakes or air fry them. But since I am using oil today, might as well just use a little bit to saute them.
Yeah. So let me ask you, where are you located? Where are you coming in from?
Right now I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Gotcha. Okay. And you had a Connecticut phone number. Is that right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Connecticut. So that's where I'm from. And I've been in Florida for about 3 years now. So I love it because I'm about 10 minutes away from the ocean. So I try to go to the ocean every time.
Yeah. So tell us, how have you been activating for Seaspiracy out there in Florida?
Yeah. Well, a lot of my activism has kind of been all over the place. Like on layovers, I've met up with the LA Fish Save. I had a work layover, so I brought my tail and I met up with them and we did some activism on the Santa Monica Pier. I've also done some work with PETA for the aquariums over here, for advocating for Lolita and freeing Lolita, of course. And then I've also done some activism for the World Water Day with PETA as well. So I try to just do any and every organization that basically activists for animals. That's what I try to do. So.
Amazing. Now, I don't know about Lolita. I know about Free Willy here, as well as there's just so many animals that are captured and in captivity, these sea life. Can you tell us a little bit about Lolita?
Yeah, Lolita, she's been in the Miami aquarium for quite some time, and she was taken from her home. And the thing about Lolita is that she can actually be returned to like a seaside sanctuary, and she still remembers the call of her family. And it's just really sad because the parking lot there is a lot bigger than even her swimming area, and she can only 20 feet is the deepest part of her pool where she's in. And me as a free diver, I started off diving with 30 feet deep. So it's really sad that I can dive deeper than Lolita. I mean, she should really be free in the ocean. So Heartburn.
Okay, wow, this is such great information. So we have the garlic. We're going back to the crab cakes here. And again, these are vegan crab cakes, everyone. We're going to find out what her main item is. I'm so excited because we've been featuring a lot of items here for the, for vegan seafood versus the ocean loving animals that we love so much from the ocean. So you got the onions in there, you've got the garlic in there.
And
Tell us what else you're going to be using for your crab cakes today.
for the crab cakes, I'm going to be using hearts of palm and chickpeas are going to be the two main ingredients that give it that crab-like flavor or texture, really. And then the flavors we're going to add all in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the chickpeas, rinse and drain them. So I'm going to do that right over here while this is...
Yes, and I want to tell you that Celia Acevedo says it was great to have you at the LA Fish demo. So appreciate you. You really increased the impact because you wear your mermaid costume. And it's just incredible how it brings such visibility for people. They're like, what is that beautiful woman doing in that? What is she wearing and why?
It's a really fun way to advocate for animals because I've done a lot of different types of activism in the years, and the mermaid thing is just it's my passion, and at the same time it's a great way to like bring people in, and people always get excited when they see mermaids. So it's like, hey, fish are our friends, not our food. So.
And now you are a certified diver as well as a certified eCornell plant-based chef and a Food for Life instructor with Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Wow, you are a busy woman. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, when I became vegan in 2014, shortly after, actually, one of my friends brought me, I'm just going to add the hearts of palm now, kind of just add it to one big bowl. That's really all you need. My friend invited me to the Ivy League Vegan Conference, and that was the first, and it's a free event, and I'm not sure with COVID how they're doing it, but usually it's done once a year, and they rotate to different Ivy League schools. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. They rotate to different Ivy League schools, and I went, and that was the first time that I heard Dr. T. Colin Campbell, and he talked about his studies in the plant-based nutrition and basically how it helped, and it blew my mind because my background is in health and nutrition. I have to drain this again because I messed up.
No problem. If you're just joining us, we are having delicious crab cakes that are made with plants. Yes, this is so exciting. Awesome.
I have 2 cans of the hearts of palm in here, and I have 1 can of the chickpeas. So those are the main ingredients, and then the rest is just basically seasonings that you add. So now I have, this is nice. And it's so simple how, onions and garlic, but it smells delicious. So I can add that right to that, my big bowl. Okay.
Yeah, and Tina brought up the point is not to go to let's see, any entertainment that involves animals, that you can watch sea life on YouTube now. There's a lot of videos and things that we can watch animals versus watching them in cages and confinements. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's a huge thing with that too. A lot of mermaids, professional mermaids, unfortunately, they use they get gigs at like aquariums is the most popular thing. So that's one thing I definitely don't support. Obviously, I protest that. So that you won't find me there.
Won't find you there. Now, speaking of the food, Betty in Cornwall wants to know if you can use anything instead of the chickpeas. So what would you suggest?
And you don't even have to use the chickpeas. I just prefer to use the chickpeas. You can actually do it with hearts of palm, or you can do it with jackfruit as well. You can do a mixture of jackfruit and hearts of palm, or you could just completely opt out of the chickpeas. So it's very variable. It's kind of up to your taste and how you want it, but I just prefer it, but you don't need it.
All right. So let's see what's next.
Now that we have that in the bowl, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the breadcrumbs. So use about, the recipe calls for 1.5 cups, but we're just going to use 1 cup right now. The rest we're going to use to coat it once we mold them. So I'm going to add 1 cup here. And I usually don't measure at home, so you don't have to be a stickler for the measurements. So I just add the 1 cup here of breadcrumbs, and that helps it create a bind to it as well. And the same thing with the cornstarch. You don't need to use cornstarch. You can use the flax eggs if you want. I have cornstarch because it's just very easy for me, but you don't need to use it. Definitely not. So I add about a quarter of a cup of cornstarch to this as well. And that, again, just helps create the binding aspect of this.
Amazing. Oh, Tina brought up a good point. Chickpeas are gluten-free. Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Good to know. Now, you said you have an education and a background in educational. Tell me that again.
It's in public health and health promotion.
Wow. So how great to pivot to the vegan space to bring all your knowledge.
It's actually like after when I'm sorry, like lost spaces, but when I was talking about the vegan conference, they hold it usually every year at different colleges, the Ivy League colleges, and it's all free, but it's also great information. And that was the first time I heard Dr. Campbell speak, and he talked about his studies that he published in the China study. It blew my mind. I didn't know that stuff. I wasn't taught that stuff in school when I learned about health. I wasn't taught that stuff when I used to work at the health department, and I was sitting there helping people, well, trying to do my best at that time to help people. So it kind of really opened up my mind, and that's what fueled it even more, because I went vegan for the animals, but my background was in health, and I was like, wow, we could save even more people by promoting plant-based health. So that's kind of where my journey started with that, with the education, and it kind of just went on from there. Okay. So now the rest of this, now that I got the ingredients, the rest is just going to be basically seasonings right now. So it's going to be, right now it's garlic powder. So I'm going to add about a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to have onion powder in here. And this recipe is really easy because it's just basically one big dump. After you saute the onions and garlics, it's just one big like bowl dump, and you just mix everything. This is paprika. Everybody loves paprika. Parsley, you can use fresh parsley. Normally I will, but right after this I have to leave for 3 days, and I just got back yesterday from a trip, so not much time for fresh herbs in my house. And adobo. I add adobo. This is the adobo I use. It's way less sodium than the Goya adobo, so I prefer that. But it has the same.
Well, the adobo, that's a combination of seasoning. Is that right?
Correct. And it's usually traditionally used in a lot of like Latin America and Caribbean households. So it's just something that, even though it is a combination of seasonings, I'm just so accustomed to it that even if I do put all the same seasonings that are in there, something about the fact of I still need my adobo. So.
I love it. I love it.
And of course, the Old Bay seasoning here.
Yes, very popular on the East Coast, but I will say we do use it here on the West Coast and around the world, I would say. Phenomenal. So what do you feel is the best way to impact if somebody wanted to get active? Now, you're a flight attendant, you fly around all over, you bring this message, but somebody who, maybe isn't able to travel as much as you, what would you say?
Definitely look up. There's so many Facebook groups, and even before as a flight attendant, when I went vegan, I never met another vegan. It was just me, and back in 2014, there was not a lot of vegans out there. So I joined a Facebook group, and I started looking up Facebook vegan events in Connecticut, and I actually found one, and I found my first vegan that I met. I just showed up by myself to an activism event in downtown New Haven, and we did some protesting and some outreach, and I thought it was awesome because I never met vegans, let alone vegan activists. And my suggestion would be just to look up there's usually a local chapter, and then within that you can find what kind of activism you like to do. So you can go out to just do protesting. There's so many different ways to be an activist, and that's the great thing about it. So you can find your niche or whatever way you want to do it and go from there.
Love it. Will you show us the mixture now? We like to get up close with that mixture. Will you show us what you got going there? Oh, yes.
Basically everything dry, all the dry seasonings and the dry herbs in here. I don't know if you could see it, but now I'm going to add some soy sauce, a little bit of soy sauce here.
And Tom is asking if you are dressed like a mermaid. And then I'm going to go so far as to say, why? How does one become an Island Girl Mermaid?
I'm dressed like a mermaid. I just got this set in the mail probably like a week ago. I love it. Yeah, I started my mermaid journey off where, one second, lemon juice. Now you can add the real lemons if you want. I do have the real lemons, but for right now I'm just gonna do some lemon juice in here as well. I started looking up mermaids, and it just, for me, it felt like home, because the water always feels like home to me, and I never kind of made the connection of like, oh, I could be a mermaid. And then I got my first tail. My first tail was a used tail, and the moment I put it on and went swimming, I fell in love. I literally turned into a little kid, and I didn't want to get out of the water. But that's the thing. It's fun. We live in a stressful world, and if you can do something that makes yourself happy, makes other people happy, and at the same way use it to advocate, like, of course. Everyone could be a mermaid. And if you want to me, because I need more mermaid friends, especially that are me.
Bianca, can I have you back up a minute and show us the bowl? Like, so, yeah, thank you. I know it's like two-handed. Maybe you want to bring it to the side over there, but I just want to see it mixing because everybody loves that action.
So I'm going to add some, I only have yellow mustard. You can use Dijon mustard if you want to, but I usually do just cook with yellow mustard, so that's what I usually just have at home. So now I basically have all the seasonings in this bowl, and I'm just gonna mix it together here. If you could see that.
Ooh. Now, do you crush up those hearts of palm? How do you do that?
I'm gonna put it in the food processor. I prefer to kind of, you could put it direct in the food processor if you want to. I just like to like mix it like this first, and then I'm gonna put it right in the food processor, and I pulse it. I don't believe much that I still want to keep some of the texture of the chickpeas and of the hearts of palm. So that's what I'm going to do.
So Susan Miller says she's always wanted to get a mermaid tail. So those of us, I'm actually intrigued as well. Okay, wait, but we're going to watch her blend. Now, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Bianca, but we do have what's called the blender dance and anything that blends. So, feel free. It can be the mermaid moves. I mean, it's basically make it your own. That's what we do here on Lunch Break Live, as well as our show called New Day, New Chef. Those of you who have not seen it yet, it is on Amazon Prime, also on PBS stations. So as you can see, our mermaid island girl here, Bianca Vegana, is making the most delicious, easy. You've seen it right here. We've got some onions, some garlic. Now we've got some chickpeas and some hearts of palm. But as she said, we can put in, what did you say instead? You could do jackfruit, right?
Fruit, yeah. Jackfruit's amazing as well. Or you could just do the hearts of palm. You don't even need the chickpeas. So it's very versatile. Okay, so I'm going to pulse it. I guess I got to do the mermaid. This is like the mermaid dance.
Love it.
And it is a little dry, so you may need to stir it because right now there's no. I didn't put any mayo in here. Sometimes people put mayo in theirs. I didn't. So.
Now Tom says he can dress like an Aquaman. He can bring on the Aquaman. Bring it on, Tom.
That would be great. Need a vegan Aquaman.
Yeah, and then Julio wants to know, where can I purchase my merman tail? Okay, we're getting into this.
It's the thing is, it's like really fun, and people think it's a lot of the times just for kids, and of course there's kids versions out there, but even as adults we can do it, and it's a fun way to relax, and the water is so healing. Even if it's just like a pool or whether it's the salt water, it's very healing. So it's always good to be in there. All right. So this is getting full. It's getting thicker. And you want it to get like this, and it's like this because of the cornstarch, which means that it's going to bind really well when I fry it. Because if you don't put a binder, naturally the crab cakes are going to fall apart. So. Food processor either. There's some people who they just prefer to shred the hearts of palm, and then they use a potato masher to mash it all together. Or if you want, you can use what I have here, but this just wasn't big enough for what I was making. This is a pilon, and it's basically a masher. So if I was making a smaller portion, I would probably use that. I'm making a bigger portion now. So it looks good. I'm probably just going to blend it one more time because it's still, there's still a few chunks in there, but you want it to be a little, not completely blended together because you still want the texture. Okay. So.
And to remind everybody, this recipe and hundreds more are available on janeunchained.com. This will be ready for you later on this week, everybody, we try to get it up within 24 hours. That looks like a great consistency. You kind of want it to be thick. Let's see. Yeah, thick and blended. Got it. Because remember, these are crab cakes, everybody. You can make them into cakes. Yeah.
So that's about a good consistency. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fry them up. Well, I'm going to ball them up, and then I have to coat them first. So let me do that here. So, and again, you can make them into, like, depending on your crowd that you have, if you want to make them for like an appetizer. Let me back this up. If you're going to make it into like an appetizer, or you're going to make crab cake sandwiches, it's so versatile what you could do with them. So right now I'm going to make them about this size, and I like to flatten them a little bit here.
Cool.
And then the last step is I'm going to do is, once I got these crab cakes all together, then I'm going to coat them in that final coat of breadcrumbs. Here.
Now, somebody's asking, Betty Ann's asking, I wonder if you can air fry them. What do you think about that?
You can air fry them. You can. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely like probably the best way to do it, and it's healthier. Definitely. Air fry them. You could bake them as well if you want to.
Yeah. So basically, you're cooking from home when you can. You're flying in the air. You're down in the ocean. My God, your boots on the ground. And how long have you been vegan?
I went vegan in 2014. So I'm coming up on hopefully my 7th year anniversary soon. And it started off as, I actually saw a meme on Facebook or Instagram of a piglet, and it said you can't call yourself an animal lover if you eat them. And I thought I was this huge animal lover. And I saw that meme and realized, okay, no, I'm not. Like, I'm basically, not living my truth. So I kind of needed to learn how to go vegan. And a couple of months later, as I started weeding out everything, I was vegetarian, and then Cowspiracy came out. And at the time, it wasn't on Netflix. It was on like selected screenings that they were hosting. And this local vegan restaurant was hosting a screening at the movie theater. So I went and I saw Cowspiracy, and I was like, this is it. No more dairy. Like, I need to go vegan. There was an image of the cow, and it broke my heart. And plus the environmental, everything. It just made sense. I was like, I need to go vegan. So, yeah.
Incredible. Now, I heard you were coming up with a book real soon here. Tell us about, is it a children's book?
I am. So I have 2 ideas that I want to do. And that I've been kind of working on. One of them is a children's book, and it's going to be about a mermaid who's vegan. This is what they look like so far, by the way. And it's about a mermaid and her fish and her animal friends of the sea, and how she's compassionate to them and she doesn't eat them, and about how she's a vegan mermaid, and how her goal as a mermaid is to save the ocean and to save her friends. And then the other book is going to be a cookbook about vegan seafood, on how to eat like a mermaid, in the sense of, again, we don't eat our friends, and we advocate for the ocean and the sea life. So that's my goal. That's what I'm working on it while I'm on the planes in between. Life.
Now, have you seen, so how long have you been certified to dive, and have you seen any changes in the ocean as far as the last few years, maybe some more plastics or less coral, things like that? Have you seen an impact? Tell us about that.
I have been certified since, when did I get certified? In October. So it hasn't even been a full year. And to be honest, I didn't even know that, I knew scuba diving. I'm not certified in scuba diving yet. That's going to be my next step, but I just like being in the ocean without any equipment. So I got certified in free diving, which I did not even know that that was a thing. I grew up going to, Puerto Rico to visit my family, and we would go snorkeling, but I didn't know that free diving was an actual sport. Until I got into the mermaid world and I learned about it, because other mermaids are free divers for safety reasons as well. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. But I didn't know that it was, rinse them off. Yeah, there we go. I didn't know that it was an actual sport, and it's a lot of breath work and everything. So I'm still fairly new in the free diving world, and it's something I want to explore more. But it's kind of hard. Unfortunately, a lot of free divers are also spearfishers. So that's another thing that's kind of in the industry. You're kind of like the oddball out, which, it kind of doesn't make sense because we're advocating for sea life. But, that's one thing that's one of my goals to change too, is to make others aware that, hey, like free diving is really awesome. It's important. And, we need more vegan free divers out there so we can just go and swim with the ocean and the sea life, and not just advocate for it, but live the truth, live the life of it. So, okay.
Wow. So important. Now, can we freeze these? Can you show us again? They're so cute. Look at these, y'all. Come on.
They make a lot more. They actually make like a dozen, maybe even a little bit more than a dozen, depending on the size that you use. So now I'm going to coat them in the panko right before, and you can freeze them. And that's actually what I did. I'll put some panko in here and just give them each a little coat. But you can freeze them, and these ones that I make, I'm probably going to freeze them because I get back in 2 days. So I'll probably freeze them so that when I get back, I can let them defrost and then pan fry them, so they'll be all set.
So you coat them on both sides, yeah?
Yep, I just coat them all over and then just shake it, and then they little.
Yeah. Those look amazing. Okay, so now the question is, what do you serve these delicious crab cakes with?
I'm serving them with a lemon garlic aioli, and that is actually really easy to make too. And I haven't seen like a vegan tartar sauce, and I guess I don't know if there is a brand out there that does it, but you can make your own. There's so many different recipes. And this one is also just like a simple recipe. You can be flexible with it. I'm using vegan mayo. Can you see that? This is just mayo. I don't know if the lighting is terrible. There we go.
Yeah, now we can. Yeah, we saw the Just Mayo. Just Mayo is great, everybody. Great brand. Yeah.
Classic vegan mayo.
Yeah.
So I have this little portable blender. You don't even need to use a portable blender, but this is what I'm going to be using. And I add 1 whole bulb of garlic. So I already took all of that garlic off and I kind of have it ready. But I add 1 whole bulb of garlic, and that's in my little blender. Or you could just chop it, finely mince it if you like as well. And then I'm going to add about a cup of this, the vegan mayo. Ooh. You guys see it there? No. Let me move it here. So I'm adding about a cup of the vegan mayo in here.
Amazing. Okay, so everybody wants to know where they can get their mermaid attire. So where do you suggest people go if they want to get a mermaid tail or a merman trident or any of those accessories and so forth to become part of your mermaid family? Mermaid family, yes.
This set right here, this is actually from a company called Finfolk, and they're a very small company. They're, I think, less than 10 people. And I think I tagged them in like most of my posts on Instagram. I'm just squeezing 1 lemon in here. But they're called Finfolk, and they also sell tails. Their tails are more for like professional mermaids, so they are really big and they're very heavy. And they start around almost like around $400, but there are a lot more affordable tails. There's I'm forgetting the brand right now. I know if you go on Amazon, there's some on Amazon, but you just have to be careful, especially if you're buying a tail for like a child, because You have to really monitor them. And swimming, I would suggest start swimming in a monofin first, so you know how to swim in the monofin. Instead of 2 fins, it's 1 together. And then go to the mermaid tail, because the mermaid tail also adds a lot of weight. And it could be a mermaid swim alone. That's the thing. It's very, you have to be very careful. So don't over swim in a tail by yourself.
Okay, now did you put some seasoning in there too?
I did. I put some pepper, and then I'm actually going to put some Old Bay in here as well.
Ooh, okay, here we go. Are y'all paying attention? This is the aioli that's going to go with those delicious crab cakes. Now, you said you froze some of those. Are we going to pop them onto the burner?
Yes. So that's what I'll do now. I'll turn this on here. I'm going to put some oil in there. And again, you don't have to fry them. If you're worried about oil or just don't want to, you can definitely bake them.
Awesome. And here's the thing. We are a show for everyone. We like to bring people into the tent of plant-based vegan food. So wherever anybody's at in the journey, we want them to stylize it for themselves. So maybe you're not even an oil person at all. So you're going to go with that air fryer, or you're going to go with the baking of it. Put it on one of those, on the parchment paper, or whatever it is. But we're showing you all different ways. So, hey, go with what works for you and stylize it for you. That's what's great about our hundreds of recipes on JaneUnchained.com. Okay, so this little gadget you have, you're the gadget girl. Look at that. That's awesome. What's going to happen here?
Yeah, this is my blend jet, and I bring this with me because if I run out of food, if I'm like on a 4-day trip or something and I run out of food and there's no like vegan food other than fries or salad, wherever it may be, the blend jet always comes in handy. So I put my protein powder in here, and it's very easy, and I just make a smoothie or whatever I want. And then you can also use it for sauces at home. If I'm not baking a lot, I just blend it right up. I put the garlic in here, the whole bulb of garlic. Once I peeled it, I put it in here. Some mayo, lemon juice, and the Old Bay seasoning and pepper. It's very, very simple. And again, if you want to make this, if you want to roast the garlic, for example, before putting in here, you can roast the whole garlic, and I'm sure that will taste amazing as well. Woo! So that's my garlic sauce. So I'm going to put that into like a little cup. And you could, if you're making the crab cakes as just an appetizer, you can put this on top of it. If you're making it into a burger, you can use this as the sauce for the burger. The possibilities are endless.
Oh, like you could do a crab cake burger. I love it.
So this is what it looks like here.
Yep.
It's really good. And I pre-made some vegan crab cakes, and I put them in the freezer because normally after the part where I just coated them, you're going to want to put them in the freezer just because it helps, again, to hold it and bind it for about 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. Should be good. So these ones already have the breadcrumbs on them. They've been frozen, but they're not rock hard, so it's not going to be hard to fry them. So once this oil, turn it down a little bit.
I love it. I want to give a shout out. Peace Chanel says, peace, shalom, salam, namaste. And thank you, everybody, for all you are doing to heal our Mother Earth. I just put that one up. Thank you so much for writing that. Wow. That just says it all.
Oh, you have such great followers. That's sweet. So basically, I added everything, and right now I'm just waiting for the oil to heat up, and then I'm going to pan fry it, and then that's it. We'll be done. It's super easy. And if you wanted to eat these crab cakes, like the ones that I just made, if you wanted to eat them raw as like a crab cake salad, what you would do is you don't need to put the breadcrumbs in, and you don't need to put the cornstarch in. And you can use it as like a crab cake salad. And you can just eat it raw because it's just the chickpeas from the can and the hearts of palm. So it's really great for that as well.
Love it. What great ideas. This is amazing. Thank you, Betty Ann, for watching. She says she loves Lunch Break Live. She's going to go back and rewatch. Hi, Tina. Hey, Tom. Julio, I believe. We also have, let's see, I said Betty Ann Cornwall's watching in the kitchen with us today. Anyone else you want to give a shout out? Hi, Susan. She says she's always wanted the mermaid tail. Yes. And yes, everybody that's been watching, thank you for watching with us. We love you. And Celia and Hamid. And we're going to be cooking these up, everybody. And how long, hi, Debbie, how long do they stay on the burner? And Tina as well. Yeah.
You can cook them for about 4, it's depending on how hot your oil is, about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe on each side max, but usually until it's brown. It gives it this nice like brown color on it, so we'll see that. Let me see if I can move this camera now. I can show you guys what it looks like here.
Yeah. So you just kind of get them brown and then flip them and then they're ready to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty easy. Sorry, not good with the camera. There we go. Yep. And then,
Well, you know what? We are live here in Bianca's kitchen, all the way from Florida. She came out of the water and came out of the air to do this cooking show with us today. So much fun. We are so grateful you all have stayed tuned with us here on Jane Unchained and janeunchained.com. We have a delicious aioli that was made up and these crab cakes. And Jeff is joining us now. Hi, Jeff. And I think we're going to stay, everybody stay tuned because we're going to see these crab cakes.
yeah.
And till the end here, we're going to taste them, I imagine. And yeah, we're going to put a little towel down. Is that what we're doing? Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, now I'm just getting them ready so when they come out of the fryer, then I'll have the paper here to soak it down. Just take a peek. They're still frying. This is a good temperature though, but yeah. And a lot of people ask I mean, I think most vegans know, but there's a lot of people who aren't vegan and maybe even some who are, and they don't know what hearts of palm is. And it actually comes from it's the heart of a palm tree. So it actually comes from the heart of a palm tree. So people are always like, well, you can eat that? Yeah. Not every palm tree, of course. There's just certain ones that produce the hearts of palm, but it's good. And honestly, I eat it straight out of the can too. I love hearts of palm. It's something I could just bring with me. It's really good. So,
what do you say to people who are transitioning? What are your 3 top tips for people who are making the transition over? We see a lot of people having watched Seaspiracy and they're wondering what to do next. What do you recommend?
My first tip is, well, the first thing I say is that's awesome. That's exciting. But the first tip is always educate yourself. Educate yourself. And I'll start with, if they watch Seaspiracy, great. Now they can watch What the Health, Cowspiracy, get a basis of the education on it, because most of us are raised not being a vegan, so we don't really, and we're not used to a plant-based lifestyle and living without it, so we're kind of lost. We're like, what does this mean? What do I get protein from? Where do I get my nutrients from? Not realizing that you can get everything from animals. So the first thing would be educate yourself. The second thing is, when you go to the grocery store, I always tell people, buy something. Now you can go basically to almost any grocery store, and it's always going to be vegan options. And you can go, and I just say, try one thing. Let's say you're looking for a vegan cheese. Try a vegan cheese and see the brand, and if you like it, take a picture of it and remember it. And if you don't like that brand, don't get discouraged. You may just not like that particular brand of that vegan cheese, but there's so many out there. Same thing with vegan meats. There's so many out there. So don't get discouraged if you don't like one thing, saying, oh, all vegan food is terrible. No, it's not. Try something else. So that would be my second tip, is just be open to trying things. And my third tip would be literally just go to the grocery store, look up a menu, and stay focused. When you have that menu and you're going to try vegan food, remember why you're doing it. Whether you watch the documentary, whether you're an animal lover and you want to live without harming animals, or whether you're an environmentalist or you work in ocean conservation, just remember why you're doing it. And I think that's really important too. And then every time you go to the grocery store, you can make that decision to try vegan food and go from there. So, these crab cakes, by the way.
Those crab cakes are coming right at you. Oh my goodness, so exciting. Everybody just loves this episode. They'd love to have you back on. Tina says, that's right. Experiment with different vegan foods. Try them, for sure. Give it a go. If that's not the one you love, maybe even try to figure out how to make it from a printable recipe that we have. We have lots of recipes, including vegan cheese recipes. Look at that pretty plate. Let's see.
So now this is prepared for my crab cake. So I put the aioli that we made right in here, and then I just put 2 pieces of lettuce so it could look pretty with the green. You can actually eat this as like a crab cake lettuce taco if you want to. And then once the crab cakes are done, I'm gonna put it on there, and then that's it. So, and you could freeze the crab cakes. You could freeze them for a couple of days, like I said. So if you want to make them ahead of time, and then you have family coming over, if you want to like surprise them, or just kind of do like a meal prep, you could do that, and then you could freeze them, and then it will be fine.
Absolutely. And I have to ask you this because it's on my mind, is to ask you about how has it been with your family and, basically your communities that you grew up with. Tell us about that transition for them.
Well, I grew up in, my family's all Puerto Rican. So they're not used to vegan life or even vegans. So when I told my mom I was vegan, she was like, oh, that's great. My mom loves vegetables. And she was kind of my taste tester for the first couple of years. To this day, she loves my food. And she's not a full vegan yet. Unfortunately, she has cut dramatically, like basically all the meat from her diet. Occasionally, she'll have stuff that contains dairy, but she won't go out of her way to buy dairy or eat dairy. So that's great. I'm proud of her for that. My grandmother to me was it's like a coming out process, because if you're from a different background, let's say like a Latin, Spanish, or even like Italian background, food is a way of showing love to people. So when I came out and told my grandmother one day when I went over there and she offered me meat that she cooked, and I said, no, I'm sorry, Grandma, I'm vegan, she almost had a heart attack. And it was like offensive to her. And I could see that because, in her way, that's her way of showing me love. It's very offensive when I said no. So, it's been kind of a transition to tell my family. And it's been kind of hard, but I do know that Puerto Rican vegan beef and cheese empanadas will always win someone's heart. And I made those one year, and I gave them to my family, and they did not even know that they were vegan, and they loved it. And I think from that day on, they realized like vegan food is not as scary as they may have perceived it to be, because it tasted just the same, and they didn't have any idea. And I also made a traditional Puerto Rican drink called coquito that we make during the holiday season. And I gave it to them, and again, they had no idea that it was vegan. So I think it's just kind of like a slow process of letting them know it's not as scary as they may perceive it. But it's culturally like indoctrinated into them, so it's kind of like ripping that out and trying to educate them that we can still have Puerto Rican food, just veganize it. So.
I love it. Your message is so powerful. It hits so many levels. Oh, look at those. They look so good. They look so scrumptious.
So that's crab cake. And then once they drain some of that oil, you don't need oil, I'm going to place them onto the plate here.
So I just want to thanks again, everybody, for watching with us today here on Lunch Break Live. And ooh, there they are. Beautiful. We appreciate you. We're going to find this recipe on janeunchained.com with thousands of others, hundreds and thousands. And we're just going to take it away. One more moment with those crab cakes. Oh my gosh. Bianca, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been incredible.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone watching, and I hope you enjoy the crab cakes.
Yeah. See you next time, everybody. Bye.